Policy Subcommittee of the school committee.
Is it just the three of us today, Jeff?
Yes,
It's a nice cozy little meeting.
yes.
Yes, I saw that you had changed the, annual thing, annual fee.
Changed the word principal, changed the date of the meeting.
Yeah.
I think those were the three.
Oh, yes. But then you had written that you found something else that you changed?
No, I sent it once and I hadn't changed the date of the
Oh, okay,
meeting. So that was the last version that I sent, had that up.
okay.
So, I'm just gonna open a document and take notes this way.
Did you hear? Can I talk to? No, I'll wait. I'll wait my turn till it's to break the topic.
So our first topic is to review the minutes. Are there any further comments, questions, changes, edits?
No, they looked good to me last time I read.
On topic number 3, the student travel, I reminded Christy today and she did send them to me. So I have forwarded them to Russ.
Oh, okay. We'd had done them earlier, but she had looked at that, and because it did just said, lawyer will convey policies to attorney. I think she just assumed you were gonna go on the drive, so she didn't realize.
I didn't
We had
even
this-
think about going on the drive, actually. Because I sent an email a while ago. It was kind of in the bottom of an email, Jeff and Christy, could one of you send me the,
Oh, okay, so we didn't see that.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't occur to me that I should go on the drive and do it. So in any event, he now has them.
Okay. And I don't think there's gonna be any issue with them, because it was it involved students driving and all of that. I think would have been better for him to.
How
take
long
away.
does it usually take to get back to you?
He's very quick.
Yeah, he's quick.
He's a fantastic attorney.
So, motion to approve the minutes.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, there are no public comments, I assume, unless Janet has a comment for us?
Not today.
Okay. So the first one is age of entrance policy JEB, which is not the first one in the pack.
No. We went through this a few times because
There's kindergarten entrance policies from neighboring school districts.
so this, if I could just jump in,
Please.
this came up a while ago as a result of a request I had to allow a student to be tested in order to possibly enter kindergarten early. We had something like that, and then when I talked to Russ about our policy, he said it was a little bit ambiguous, so we thought we should probably work on it. So Christy went out and got some policies from other schools. And this was when Cliff was on the committee. And so he thought we should have something really simple, and had looked at, just so you know where we were, he really liked the Northborough, Southborough, the old Northborough policy. It was very simple. It gave us some flexibility in order to test the student, but
I had a question about the Northborough one, and I don't know. Hang on. So in our current policy here, it says that the decision regarding the child's eligibility for kindergarten will be determined by the principal, kindergarten teacher, and PPS director. In the Northborough one, it says any other unusual age, entrance circumstances should be discussed with the building principal. The principal will assist parents in making the appropriate placement decision. So I want to know, who is the decision maker? Who decides?
Well, it's not the parent, and I think in this case, in the Northborough one, it will assist means that they will help them through the process. But I think it would probably help us to put our language, what you just read, in that.
It's much more clear,
It's clearer,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
that part.
And I mean, I like the rest of it, it's very, very simple, but in terms of who makes the decision, I can see how a parent might read that as to think that they would be part of like a testing procedure or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I read that as parents making
Yeah.
the appropriate decision.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that I look at it.
So we're saying the Northborough simplicity with the addition of something that makes it clear that the decision is determined by the principal, kindergarten teacher.
Well, yeah, omit that last sentence that says the principal will assist parents in making the appropriate placement decisions, correct?
Yeah,
And instead,
This
put in
these
that
lines here
paragraph.
from our policy.
right.
So, we have to be careful of that language though, because it refers to utilizing the above information, which if we go with the simpler policy, it's the above information is not here.
So we may need to reiterate that information.
Or else just take that reference out.
Wait, where
A
are you?
decision in the middle of that paragraph in the current policy that we just said should go in. It refers to the above information.
Oh, yeah.
So are we just gonna drop that all out?
I would say will be determined because there will be no above information.
Right. Will be made on an individual basis, or will be determined by,
Yeah,
will
Yeah,
be made on an
good
individual
catch.
basis as determined by the principal. Now so this individual, I want to get clear on something. The Northborough policy says you need to be 5, or you need to be 6, right? First or second. You have to present a birth certificate as proof, and then additional circumstances, if somebody attended some alternative program approved by the state, who are a different age, they should discuss it with the principal, and the principal then, according to this, the principal, the kindergarten teacher, and the PPS director will decide on an individual basis in that circumstance. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Okay, so that is gonna be written underneath additional circumstances.
The only-
I would just keep it like that because any student who came in, for example, who was in a state-approved program, that's a kindergarten program. So the only thing they didn't meet is the age requirement. But if they've been doing the work, then somewhere, somebody who also had a state-approved program like us had some kind of declaration in there that said, if you are not the correct age, we can test you
Right.
and make sure you're appropriate. So we'd have to assume all of that was done. Now, and it says, should contact the principal and discuss the appropriate placement. We can, that gives us the flexibility to retest that student, but I would be hesitant if it was me not to let someone who was already part of a state-approved program exactly like ours and has been successful in that program. I mean, I think we could always go to that program and ask them, just like we would ask for transcripts for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
9th grader or a 10th grader, but
Well, what happens if someone's not in a program? They're homeschooled or they skip kindergarten?
that's when they would get tested, where the PPS director and the principal, they administer a test to see if they, not only if they have the cognitive ability, which they usually, a lot of these students who, they're a little mature for their age, and they've already been homeschooled, so they have been doing some work,
Mhm.
or they've been going to some program that's not state approved. They have something. It's not usually that. It's usually the emotional piece, if anything. So our
So-
testing
right,
includes
right,
all of that.
right. So what would happen if we just said here, we took out this phrase, who attended an alternative kindergarten program approved by the state? What if we said, children who do not meet the entrance requirements should contact the principal to discuss appropriate placement? Because sometimes kids are not going to be in a program, but they will have been learning in some other context. So if I homeschooled my child while they were 5 during the kindergarten year, I would not see myself in this statement.
No, but you'd probably be covered under the second one, any other unusual age entrance circumstances. So that would be a
Okay.
kid who
Okay.
homeschooled, which was,
Okay. Okay.
or just went through some kind of preschool or some kind of kindergarten or
Yeah.
make some kind of Montessori thing that,
Yeah,
so you never know. There's infinite variations, and we
Right.
get kids all the
okay,
time.
so you think it's captured on
I think it
the
would be
second part.
captured, yeah.
I would recommend, though, under additional circumstances, that we insert the word age. It says who do not meet the entrance requirements, but this really is
It's about
specifically
age.
about age, right?
Well, I
Or if they
think
don't have a
the,
birth certificate?
well,
Is there any other entrance requirement that this
Just the
is
birth-
applying
isn't there a
to?
birth
No,
certificate?
age.
No.
It's just age.
yeah.
So
no, but
I'm
it's
just
also-
saying,
But that's
let's-
that's covered under requirements.
Right,
So when
but
it
see where
says-
it says additional circumstances on the other policy, on Northborough? It
At the
says
top.
children who attended an alternative kindergarten
Yeah.
program approved by the state who do not meet the entrance requirements.
Right. And the
I-
entrance requirements are right here.
Okay, so you
It's-
don't think you need the word
Well, because it's
age.
already in the policy, and it's the age policy.
Okay,
Yeah.
And I think there are 2 requirements. It's age and you have to have a birth certificate.
to prove your
Do
age.
people ever come and not have a birth certificate?
I don't know.
Yeah, So
I'd
that's
be
possible.
willing to
Might be
bet they
that
do,
too.
though.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So I just for clarity,
But there's only really one requirement, it's age. Is, that the
Okay.
other thing is just to prove your age, but
so the plan is that we are going to substitute in its entirety the Northborough policy for JEB
correct.
with the insertion after the words, any unusual age entrance circumstances should be discussed with the building principal. And then insert a decision regarding the child's eligibility for the Berlin-Boylston Public School kindergarten program will be made on an individual basis determined by the principal, the kindergarten teacher, and the
Yeah.
PPS director. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I just want to sit on this for a second.
And I can actually have Christy do all the redlining for that for tomorrow.
Is
Are we
there,
gonna do this for tomorrow?
We can, yeah. I mean, let's get it out of the way. It's pretty short. I mean, because it really requires her to just go through, redline our entire policy, except that paragraph, and then, or put this in,
Mm-hmm.
and then redline our entire policy with the exception of that, or redline our entire policy and then just add that in. And it would just vote on new policy as written.
Yeah.
And that's what you can just require.
Still 2 questions about this, I think. One is, if perchance they came to Berlin and they wanted their 5-year-old to start in first grade, and Berlin said, no, we don't see them as ready, could they then go to Boylston and request, since when we're regional? Can they go over to Boylston?
No, because this will be a regional policy.
So
If I'm
a
understanding
Berlin
you
resident
correctly.
can't go to Boylston unless they're a resident. Is that correct? Even though we're regional?
I think under our, no, that is true.
You have to be a resident.
You have to be a resident.
Okay. And then there was, so.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, and well, you would probably know this more, is, I think that's actually covered in our regionalization agreement.
About Boylston going to Berlin or vice versa?
There is language about it. It does provide some flexibility.
Yeah, right. But I think in most
What does that
region,
mean?
most regional, I think that as a.
It doesn't preclude it and it doesn't permit it.
So could it, in your view, based on that policy,
No, not based on this policy.
well, this policy doesn't talk about residents.
Well, it doesn't have to, because it's
So a
this
no.
goes in our, so this policy would go in as a regional policy.
Right.
Now,
So
so it would cover both Berlin and
so if
Boylston.
Berlin says no, then that's a no for Boylston
Correct.
also.
Yeah, because it'd be covered, it would cover the entire, which was, again, simplifies it because we're regional, so,
Okay,
um,
so no is no for the region.
correct.
Okay, and so the other question I have is there any kind of procedure to accompany this to ensure that the principal, kindergarten teacher, and PPS director make this decision in a consistent manner across the region?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same people, right, so,
Yeah,
They-
but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that the decisions will be made in a consistent way.
well, no, it doesn't mean that. I mean, it never means that. That's why it's a policy and not a procedure, but this can't cover a procedure.
Right, but I'm asking, is there a procedure that will accompany this, that will clarify what the steps are so that any parent who goes through this and contacts these 3 people here can know that the decision they get for their child is going to be comparable and fair to the decision somebody else in town had?
There's not, I mean, I know we do, I mean, we have a procedure for it. It's not, and this, if you want it written out as a procedure that would, as an artifact that went in there, you know, like a -E evidence or something like that, we'd have to write one specifically for it, in which case we can't do this tomorrow, because I
Right,
don't
I
think we could get that done.
So
You know, we could, I mean, I know they do it, but, you know.
Yeah, I actually think that's important because, in my experience anyway, when parents want to push for an early decision, an early
Yeah.
admittance kind of thing, there's a lot of, it's very personal, and there's a lot of angst in this sometimes for families and for schools. And I think that we need to make sure that we have procedures in place that ensure a very fair and consistent process that is predictable, that people can look at and say, okay, my kid went through these screenings and this was a decision, my kid went through these screenings and this was a decision, and it wasn't my kid went through these screenings, oh, my kid didn't go through those screenings, or my kid didn't have to submit that kind of thing, or be observed,
I
or
wouldn't
whatever.
anticipate it happening. I mean, we could do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to do it, we'll do it. But I wouldn't anticipate it happening. Number one, we have a very small district. We only have 2 elementary schools with only 2 principals, 1 PPS director, no assistant director
Right.
who gets handed that stuff off. Plus, the amount of times this actually comes up is, I think the last time they had someone 4 or 5 years ago, that's what I was told, well, this actually comes up. So,
It
What
can
if we,
change, but-
rather than developing the whole procedure, what if we just stated that in this policy, that the process is, that the decision-making will follow a defined process,
Yeah, right.
and not lay out
And that's
here are
what
all
we
the
did in the
steps.
English language learner policy, that the
Okay, so how,
the consistent and defined process.
right, so I wanna make sure.
That would
when
be
I-
under the additional circumstances, right?
Yeah. How about the decision-making process will follow a consistent and defined
Whoops.
process?
The decision will be based on a consistent and defined process. Or district-defined process, yeah.
So when you send me these, because I'm gonna lose track of what Christie has to redline here. You just
Yeah,
send them to
I-
me, I will have
You know what I'm thinking?
I just don't wanna,
I think the cleanest thing is that and I can put this together tonight, is just put together what the new policy should say
yeah.
and just redline the entire old policy.
Well, then you can just make a motion to omit it. And you don't
Okay.
even have to, we don't even have
Okay.
to redline, just say,
Okay.
to omit it.
And substitute this policy instead.
And yeah, so we could have one in back of the other and just say, this is the one we want to admit, this is the one we want to adopt. And then that's it.
Okay.
Because this would be easy to just rewrite, I would think. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah, no,
very
that
simple.
makes
and-
sense. Makes a lot of sense.
All right, so what I have for notes regarding this is that JEB policy regarding age of entrance, that the topic came up based on a request, reviewed the Northborough and other samples. The Northborough sample implies parents are the final decision makers, which they're not. So we made the decision to insert a sentence of Berlin-Boylston's regarding decision makers, but otherwise use the entire Northborough sample, with one deletion of the sentence concerning the principal and parents making the decision.
And addition,
And-
insertion.
And the addition of,
Right, that's, yeah, just, and one sentence.
One modified sentence from our original policy. Because we're also adding this.
And an additional sentence.
but that's not from our policy, is it?
Yeah,
Regarding,
About having a defined process?
yeah. Oh, no, that isn't, no.
Okay, so that's a,
But
that's a
but-
new
Right.
sentence.
Right. But I think we can make it in one sentence, Lori.
yeah, I said decision made to insert one sentence of Berlin-Boylston's regarding decision makers and an additional sentence regarding consistent and defined process.
I think we can make this one sentence, not an additional sentence.
Oh,
Just so
okay.
I can read it to you if you want to get it right now, just
Sure.
in your notes. I think it can say, a decision, I'm taking from our original policy, a decision regarding the child's eligibility for the Berlin-Boylston Public School kindergarten program will be, that's from the original,
Yeah,
based on a consistent and defined process and will be determined by the principal, kindergarten teacher, and PPS director.
okay. So get rid of made on an individual basis, did you didn't read that part?
Oh, I didn't.
I think based on I don't think we need it.
Yeah, because we've already determined this an unusual circumstance, so.
A decision regarding the child's eligibility, blah, 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 will be based on a consistent and defined process and determined by the principal, kindergarten teacher, and PPS
Mhm.
director.
Mhm.
Okay. Good.
Do you, not to belabor it, but do you want to change the August 31 date to a September 1's in our policy? I don't know that one day
No
makes
idea what,
all of that big a difference.
it's arbitrary no matter
Yeah, it
what.
is arbitrary. It's very
Yeah.
arbitrary.
But part of me would want to keep the date the same.
Yeah,
I
why
feel
don't-
like
And
changing the
I don't
date.
think it's a big change. I would say do it.
Cha- I think we should keep our original,
Right. that's-
September 1 day, yeah.
Yes,
So that's another
that's-
change then, changing the.
no,
the-
it's not, it's keeping,
No, no,
oh,
no.
No, they
changing
have
this
August
in the
31.
Northborough policy, it's a
Yeah.
change, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but we're picking it up from our
Yeah.
policy.
Yep. September
All right.
1.
Yeah, I mean, if you just were to write the Northborough policy and make the changes, that would have to be, yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
that was it.
It's odd that they're saying children entering kindergarten must be 5 by August 31. This is effective September of 2005 and thereafter.
Yeah,
I guess they mean the school year, right? So it doesn't really go into effect, it didn't really go into effect until later.
oh, so you know what, here's the other thing.
Do we have to worry about when this goes into effect immediately, right, for next year? Yeah.
Oh, you know what else we have to do, we have to do the first grade age too.
By September 1, you mean? Is that what you mean?
No, the age
6.
that,
6 years old by September 1?
because this policy, our policy is it just age of entrance for kindergarten?
No, it says 6 years old by September 1st.
Oh, but the
What's it
only one,
called?
it says minimum entrance age for kindergarten and first grade.
Yeah, so our policy covers first grade too, so we have to add a date, we have to add,
It is in there. Children entering first grade must be 6 years old by, and we'll
September
change
1.
that to September 1. It's in the Northborough policy.
oh yeah, okay, got it. That's pretty simple.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion and vote on this?
You can make a motion at the end
Yeah.
to bring all of the discussed policies to school committee for a vote tomorrow. Just policy GEB.
I'm sorry to do this, to go backwards, but the athletic policy,
Oh,
did, the minutes reflected that Diane and Matt were gonna go back and develop language?
they did.
Did they
It's in,
circulate that?
it's in the drive right now. It's the first time.
Yeah, and I added
It's
one,
added.
I talked to Diane today and added one additional thing, number 11, so that's something we can look at.
Do you want to look at that
That
now?
was just based on something, discussion I had with Jim.
Is it on the is it in the minutes? I'm sorry.
No.
Is it on the agenda for tomorrow or no?
Um,
I'll look. I got it.
And is it more urgent than other things we would be spending time?
Well, I mean, I'd like to do it, it's been hanging out there for a while.
I thought it was on the agenda, but. Let's see.
I think I listed in the minutes what was supposed to be on the agenda.
Policy.
It's probably
addition-
not, because Christie made the agenda from your meeting notes.
It says addition of development and organization of high schools and intercollegiate athletic programs policy.
Oh,
That's-
it's on there, huh?
Yeah.
It is, yeah, it said in the minutes, the policy will be added to the agenda for the January 8th. But it said Diane and Matt will draft language and send via email to the subcommittee for review
Which
prior,
we didn't get,
which we did not get.
but we can review it now.
Also has the travel policies on there.
What's that about the travel policy?
They're on the agenda for tomorrow.
Which one is the travel agenda?
JJH,
JJH.
Yeah, we'll have to,
you can delete that.
yeah, because we're still waiting for legal review.
That's E1 and E2
Mm-hmm,
and R.
yeah.
Okay.
JJHR is really the policy.
Yeah.
The other ones are just forms.
Okay.
All right, so should we go into the drive and review the interscholastic athletic one? Is that, what would you like to do, Jeff?
Yeah, we can do that. If you're okay with sending that for a vote tomorrow.
Well, let's look at
Well,
it and
let's look at
decide.
it and
Now, okay, hang on. Why are there two things here? Co-op athletic policy and copy of co-op athletic policy? In the drive? What are you looking at here? Is this the same thing?
Do they both have a number 11?
Yeah, it looks
I
like
know.
the same thing. Why would there be a copy in there?
You know why? Maybe because I just added this number 11 today.
And it was already there, you think?
Yeah, so I had Christie add the 11 this morning.
So
There was no 11 before.
one was, okay, so
So it
we're
was just the
looking
way
at,
she copied it.
so are we looking at the one that was posted? Are they the same, you're saying, or there's something
I'm not
different
sure,
on
but I'm
one?
saying that that's maybe why there's two copies. She
Okay.
had one,
Okay,
she
so
had
let's
one
look at the
posted.
one that was posted at 2:39 this afternoon. That would be, at least be more current.
yeah, is there a number
It's the
11?
copy of, no, it just says copy of co-op athletic policy.
And when you open it,
I'm sorry, yeah. It just says development and organization of high school interscholastic
Okay.
athletic programs.
if you scroll down, there should be.
Oh, number 11, yes, it
Okay,
does, yeah.
that's the one.
Okay.
okay, is there a folder these are in or something? Because it's not showing up as shared with me. Policy
yeah.
manual?
Let's
Is it
see.
in policy manual maybe?
Yes, no, it's in the packets.
Oh, for
In the
the,
policy meeting. And it is not shared with you. Look here. We should unshare, by the way, Ed is still on the shared folder, and he should not be.
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have that.
You are not on this list. Can I
Yeah,
share it?
yeah. You wanna look at the hard copy, Lauren?
Sure, if you have it. Just amazing.
Check your emails.
So you haven't seen any of the red?
No.
No, okay.
But there are things I assume we had discussed.
Yeah,
See if it's in your email, a notification, and you should be able to get in. All right.
well, we can do it just based on her looking at that, and then
Yeah.
we can approve it, and Christie will.
Okay, hang on. Is there any place in here where we introduce this acronym COOP? Co-op? COOP? Looks like-
Co-op. The Coop is a place in Cambridge. where
Yeah,
you can buy a
right.
lot
Yeah,
of
they
stuff.
just need
So-
a hyphen.
So this is, yeah, and it shouldn't be all capitalized because it looks like it stands for something, and it doesn't.
So,
Are you able to edit in there?
I'll see. If so, I'm going to put the acronym up above, COOP.
I don't know that this is super clear. They, instead of putting the fee part in the no less than 5 student part, they put it under guidelines right after any requests that do not meet the time condition would have to be self-funded by the proponents. And then they say included in this funding would also be the MIAA fee charged to each individual athletic program.
So I guess it should be its separate number. Is that what you're saying, suggesting? It should be its own?
Well, I think I was visualizing it back where you're explaining formation of the team is dependent on no
financing.
less than 5 and, but I guess
I guess because they were talking about all
the
funding issues.
funding, yeah. I mean, I can live with it as long as they know what's,
Yeah, let's see. I'm sure they don't care where we put it as long as the content's in there.
I think they wanted to be sure it got incorporated into, Because they're saying that proponents have to self-fund if they haven't submitted the request on time. Then it's saying included in this funding, in this theoretical self-funding, would be the MIAA fee charged to each individual athletic program. If a cooperative team is formed of less than 5 students per the above exception, the families of the student athletes participating will be required to share the cost of the MIAA fee. It doesn't say
Annual
it,
fee,
but it-
annual fee. I feel like it should be a separate number. It's a big deal to take on that funding, potentially. And it feels a little buried in this long paragraph. I'm not even sure. Guidelines for development.
I don't think it'll be missed. I don't think a parent will miss it.
No, and it,
My experience is the parents who go to one of these policies because they want to get information will know it backwards and forwards.
so how do we make modifications for tomorrow? Can Christy do that?
Yeah, if you just tell her what the modification you want, she'll,
So what is it that you're
I'm-
suggesting?
Well, first of all, at the end, it just says to share the cost of the MIAA.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation is to
Fee,
share the cost of
annual
the annual
Yeah,
MIAA fee.
yeah.
yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that, Susan?
Yeah. I mean, the content is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it was good to add 11, Jeff.
Yeah, yeah.
Where did you?
Well, and I know they do that, but I understand what the concern was when I read that, when I was, read Jim's, email. And I know, of course, they have to review it to make sure the programs are still viable, but there's another component that I think he makes a good point, where, you know, and it sort of fits in with this whole idea of being flexible and then giving our students the maximum amount of opportunities, is to always look for and pursue, you know, available programs out there, and make sure we don't say, you know, nobody's gonna be interested in that, and, you know, we don't,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna wanna play, you know, whatever the sport is. That we make sure whatever it is, as odd as it may sound, the program that we say, you know, this X school needs
Yeah.
so many students, so.
I'm doing 2 editorial things to this on the screen. Technical. The no less than 5 students rule should be hyphenated, and the facilities is misspelled. So I'm fixing that. Okay. So she should use
Is that
this
what
copy.
she'll use? Is that copy?
Can you edit it? Are you
I just
able to-
did it. I think so. I mean, I can't. It's not. It's letting me. So.
All right, so why don't you insert the,
Oh, just put the text in.
put those
That's-
changes?
Because these are all, there's no, yeah, it's all editorial. None of it is substantive.
That would save a step here, too.
Yeah.
We could just, I will notify Christie.
That ain't saving. I'm not getting anything up that says save to the hard drive.
Is it on the shared drive?
Yeah.
Is it a
It's,
Google Doc?
yeah.
It saves automatically.
Yeah.
I was told
Just always
today.
reassuring.
I know.
I just learned
You
that
want to
today.
be able to click save. I
Yeah.
feel the same way.
Well, I mean, I'm saving it. I am doing that, but usually, I like it when a little bubble shows up that says saved and then it
Yeah.
disappears, you know?
Now, is she?
I
what
had a
does
hard time sharing it with her today because I thought I was going to lose what I wrote.
What does she bring to the meeting? Will she bring the red line copy, or is she going to bring just a straight copy?
She'll bring the red line copy so that they can see the changes, and once they approve those, she'll change it all to black before it goes into the,
Okay.
Now,
because they won't know otherwise what they're voting on.
is there a reason that you made this, this piece about the MIA annual fee, highlighted it in red?
I think it's, that it's red with
It's drawing
black.
too much attention. Can I change it
No,
to red text?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's
Make
not
a
going to be
big deal about
readable very easily. Okay.
I think, you know what I think? I think probably Matt did part of it, and so we just highlighted it differently.
All right.
Maybe it's that way because I don't actually see where you, maybe this is it.
What else do you have on our agenda? I mean, I see what's on our agenda for today. What else is on the January 8th agenda? Just being sure that we're,
For school committee meeting, right?
yeah.
Well, besides the travel policies, the IHBEA, which is the ELL policy, I believe.
Okay. Which we kind of approved via email. right?
Yeah, it should be in here too.
You know what we need to note to Christie is to take out this co-op athletic policy from 11/16. The time posted at 11/16 this morning, so she doesn't mix up that one with the other one. The one we worked on was at 2:39 this afternoon. Yep, that's saved. So, we have the Berlin-Boylston Police
Yeah,
MOU.
yeah.
Um,
So do you want to do the English language at least?
Okay.
Just, it's done. We already talked about it, so if you just want to put it in the minutes so we can give it to Christie, and, because I think she probably has it red line, but if not, just have a red line it, red type it.
It's already in the school committee drive.
Is it red? Is this red
I'll find
up
it.
here? The part that you agreed on?
Let me check. I don't know which number it is on the agenda. Wait, what's the meeting agenda number that's associated with it?
It's,
Or IHBEA?
7, it would be 7G.
But what's the policy number? Is
Oh,
there a policy?
No, that's what I needed to know, 7G, let me just see if it's here. That's the MOU. There's a whole bunch of documents under 7G. Oh, yeah, so she needs to replace the document that's in the drive. That interscholastic athletics program document is already here, and it's the old version.
It does not have an 11, and it doesn't have the
It has
change.
it does have 11, but it doesn't have the changes we just made.
Okay.
I'm still looking for that. Yeah, it is all redlined, IHBEA. It's all redlined at the top and everything else crossed out.
Okay, good. That's done then.
Okay.
So then the MOU is on the agenda. So did you happen to reach Boylston?
I did talk to him, and he just thinks it should be in so that it, until we replace it with something else. But I mean, my position is still the same. I'm gonna live with it being in, but my position is that, and obviously when I talked to him about the possibility of there being a grievance or a possible
Mhm.
lawsuit
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that's written.
Mm-hmm.
And he obviously hasn't thought about that stuff. So But he still.
But even after you explained that, he said I want it in there until we do the new one?
No, he wasn't really definitive about anything. I think he could live with either. You know, we talked about writing a new one, so the new draft should be written. Actually, I have a draft of the new one that I'm gonna work with him on, so it's a month.
So
So
what
just
are you
leave
saying?
them in.
Leave it?
I would just leave it. I mean, we're talking
And
about a month
would you leave
here.
it in Berlin as well?
Yeah, just because
Leave
we're
both in
gonna.
place.
Yeah, I mean, I went through today and made some changes to the new MOU, which is really sort of a boilerplate, and then I had Christie go take the standard operating procedure from another district that had all the elements we need, so we
Yeah.
just really need to work on it. So I can't imagine it taking more than an hour or so per meeting to
Okay.
sort of define what the new one. So my expectation is to be able to present those to the school committee, a draft copy, right? Like it was
In
done
the next,
in the next school committee.
okay,
in
so,
February.
so we're taking this off the agenda.
Yeah,
then?
so I would just take it off at this point.
Okay,
I
so
don't think
you get that?
it's
for
gonna
him
be off
for
soon
tomorrow?
enough. It'll be replaced by something, and I don't.
Okay. Are any of the ones we have scheduled to review today on the agenda for the 8th, the wellness or social networking?
Are they on the agenda for today? Yes.
Are they on the agenda for tomorrow?
No.
No, so we've covered the ones that are on the agenda for tomorrow,
Okay,
right?
so then it's,
Except the travel
Sorry, I
policy.
don't know if that's my phone, but I apologize if it is.
So the ones on the agenda tomorrow are the MOU, which we just discussed. It's the,
but we're taking that off.
Right,
yeah, which we're gonna just, yeah. This one, this here, the co-op team is not on the agenda.
Oh,
Oh, it is on the agenda.
Yes,
It's
it
just not
is.
written as a number. So that's on the agenda too. And then,
you said, are the travel policies on there, you said?
No.
Or no?
mm-mm.
the travel policies, JJHDR.
Yeah, those should
on here.
not be.
Those should not be
Oh,
on here
they're
because
on
we're
the
not gonna
agenda,
get to them. The age of entrance is not, do you see age of entrance on there, Susan?
No, it's not on there, because it's on our agenda today.
Yeah, okay, so
But that could be, right?
we would have had to put it on the agenda, right?
Oh,
It's an agenda
okay.
article. So we can,
All
if
right.
we get it worked out, we'll have it there. We can do it for the next one.
Okay,
So we could do that one, the age of entrance, along with the wellness policy and social networking. And if we work on those today, we can do it for the next school committee policy. School committee meeting in February. So all of the ones that are on the agenda for tomorrow
Is the athletic
have been,
stuff and the IHBEA.
yeah, those are all, so we've covered all of those.
I just went into I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I went into the agenda and just drew a line through the ones that aren't,
oh, good,
just so it would help us.
that's excellent.
The JJH policy.
Yep.
So you took the MOU and the travel policies, so.
No, not the, yes, correct.
But kept interscholastic
Yep.
and ELL,
Yep.
which is IHBEA.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright.
This gets so freaking
I
confusing.
know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we're ready for the new stuff, right?
Yep.
Age of entrance and.
So age of entrance we did.
Yep.
So this would be going up for this age of entrance. This will go in for February
February.
school committee meeting.
Right, okay,
This will go on for tomorrow's meeting.
right.
This will just be the February folder. And if we work on the wellness and the social network, and we can put that for the February school committee meeting
Yep.
too.
So
And-
which one do you want to do first?
Well, I think the wellness policy probably is the easiest one.
You know, this was in my packet, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So.
What are we, I'm sorry, which one?
Wellness,
Okay.
ADF.
Yep, yep.
So, 1, 2, 3, the sort of fourth paragraph down of the preamble, it starts with food and beverages sold or served at school. See that?
What, wait a minute, I'm not even,
What'd you say, fourth bullet?
where are you?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, that's a different
Yeah, that's
policy
different
than
than
what
what I
we're
got.
looking at here.
I get this off the policy manual. Why does it look different than yours?
Oh, yeah, I got that too.
I just have something that says wellness guidelines at the top.
Is it bullets? Yeah.
Oh, I know why. This is the policy. This is the artifact. This is the.
Okay.
Yeah, so, well, let me tell you what the
Oh.
change has to be, and you can tell me where you think
This
it
is
ought to
the
go.
artifact. Oh, yeah. So wait a minute, so why wasn't, did I miss that on the policy manual?
I don't know.
This is JI, what? No, what is this?
ADF.
It's ADF-E, is that, but
Wait a minute.
we don't have it in our packet.
No.
It's good to know we're not the only ones confused.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the change?
So, in the last school committee meeting, Karen had in her report, she had oh, that's why, because the change is to the wellness guidelines. It wasn't
Oh,
to
it
the
was to
actual
the guidelines,
policy.
okay.
Yeah, it's the
All right.
guidelines.
Good.
And it was, it was around a statement that she wanted added, that was based on the new guidelines, that says, all fundraising activities or school store sales involving food occurring 30 minutes before, during, and up to 30 minutes after the school day must meet the nutritional standards.
So that was one of the, she gave 2 examples in her report out there. That was one of the examples.
That's
There
the
was
one
a-
I have that she said she wanted.
Oh,
What is that you have?
so in the original thing that she gave us at the meeting, she said, many of us had the understanding that the nutrition rules applied only to food sold during the school day.
Yeah, no, I'm
But
reading the same
That is not clear
thing.
in our policy.
Right.
So then she says, other district policies we reviewed more clearly stated this, such as Shrewsbury's, which is a like 4-line
Yeah.
thing, and then this other one, which comes from I don't know where. I don't know if that's Shrewsbury also, I guess. We include this as a possible suggestion for possible rewording.
Yeah, it's this right here, because she highlighted it in the copy I have. You see that line?
Okay, so what's this top, these other 4 lines?
I think it's just the work they were doing.
Well, okay, so I mean, the other statement is interesting too, in terms of it defining
Yeah. I guess we could put
sold
both of them in
for
there.
what. But I also, it made me wonder about what's the purpose of this policy, this part of the policy. It's like, if you're saying,
It's to make
It's
sure that right
nutrition.
after school, like, so the bell rings, and then they can sell junk food, as opposed to 30 minutes after.
so.
There's a
So
30-minute
the idea is that
time.
we don't want to be selling kids during and immediately before or after school unhealthy foods,
Right.
but it's okay for them to sell it for fundraising projects after school, during the weekend. It felt inconsistent to me to say, well, we want only healthy food for you guys, but only in these hours. But in these hours, it's okay.
I struggle with this a little bit because the student council, is it the student council or National Honor Society? Somebody's been running cafes during school hours
Yeah.
to raise funds, and the kids have been bringing in baked goods.
Oh, That's-
throughout the year.
Contrary to this policy as well.
Yeah.
And there's also something with the preschool. There was some kind of bake sale, something for the preschool.
To the students.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that. I didn't know that.
So I'm just,
Well, they shouldn't. I mean, we shouldn't be, none of that stuff should be done during the day.
Are you questioning adherence to
guess
the
I'm-
policy or the
no,
worth
I'm-
of the usefulness purpose?
I'm
of the policy?
questioning. They also, wasn't there once during the year, there was, Krispy Kreme donuts were sold as a fundraiser. Boxes. of
I don't
Krispy-
remember. Gee, I didn't get over there for huh?
One of my concerns is that it closes off a simple way that various clubs and groups can raise money. It also raises the question, you know, is a cupcake unhealthy in the scope of a
Healthy diet.
healthy diet? And what are we teaching the kids? That you can't have anything with any sugar or any, do you know what I'm saying?
Are you saying that
I'm
it's
pushing
not
back.
unhealthy?
No.
In the course of a healthy diet that's balanced,
Yeah.
an occasional treat is not unhealthy.
Do you want to bring those chocolates in now?
And dark chocolate is
I was just
especially.
thinking about it. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be the fat lady making that argument though at school committee. You know? Well, of course she's gonna say
Well,
that.
I mean,
Look how
the
many
problem is that
cupcakes she
we-
must have eaten.
You know, we can't dictate to what degree cupcake sales going to take place, right? So all of a sudden, I mean, think about elementary classrooms where cupcakes used to be every birthday treat, right? It used to come
Right.
in. And so
Right.
we don't have any control over whether it's part of a healthy diet or not. We only get to control potentially whether we want to contribute that to any diet. So it's either like we're not gonna care about that, or we're gonna swing the other way, because I don't think we can
Well, you know
stipulate
what?
how
If you
often.
look at the last, bullet, one of the nutrition says, minimize the use of food for classroom celebrations. See later reference for birthday
Yeah,
celebrations.
it says no, not for birthdays. It said big letters somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
No food, big
yeah.
bold letters, will be allowed for birthday celebrations. It felt like a really heavy hand to me,
Yeah.
but
But they still have holiday parties where they have food. In the
unhealthy
elementary.
foods.
Well, they do, but I've been in those. I've been to those.
Yeah.
This-
What do
it-
they have?
Good stuff. Good,
Like
good
fruits,
healthy stuff. Fruit,
cheese.
cheese.
Yeah.
You know, and surprisingly, you wouldn't believe the kids. I didn't think this isn't gonna be. It's gonna be
Oh,
any
no,
fun
they're
for kids, but
happy
it
to
is.
have it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Because I made that comment. I'm like, hey, you should get a lot. He goes, no, go look at it. It's all, you know.
Right.
So it wasn't one of the usual, cupcakes, cake.
But I don't know, is there a
Candy.
statement in here? I think there is about classroom celebrations and stuff that way. This is pretty much, I wondered actually when I read through all this, Jeff, if this is all policy. Some of this feels like it's gotta be in the procedural side, because it feels like a ridiculous list of
Yeah.
very specific things that are beyond policy.
This is, I think this is something that was just adopted from, it's adopted December 13, 2010. Well, this isn't the policy, that's why it looks like this.
Oh, that's right, these
Yeah.
are guides, so this is procedural,
Yeah. So I guess
so
we
it's
could,
not even in our domain.
huh?
It's
No,
not
you
even
can
in
ha-
our domain
No,
if
you
it's
can have a, no, you
guidelines.
can have an artifact in there, you can have a,
But do we define what's in a procedural document? We don't.
usually, no, it doesn't, you don't, not usually, but in this case, you could put something in there. I mean, if you're just gonna, if you're gonna take one and just write it from scratch, no, but if you're gonna add something that's recommended by, you're not doing that, you're just putting something that's recommended by the school administration.
So the change has to
This
do
po-
with the hours of effect
Yeah.
of something that they're
Yeah.
already doing.
Yeah, so this would probably, this is most likely written, this is probably some, school official probably did this in 2010. So you're just adding something as a recommendation from the school, you're not saying,
Okay,
oh,
but this isn't actually a policy.
no, it's not.
So the
Part of
school
a
committee
policy.
doesn't need to even vote on this.
I'm not sure about that.
It is
I think
labeled
they
like
have
a
to- I
policy.
think
It
they-
has
I mean, but there's a different
I
document
think
that's
they
the
have to
policy.
vote, I think they have to vote to add it into the policy manual.
Really? Because we don't do anything on some of the other procedural documents.
You're
I mean,
right.
You're saying like the MOU,
No,
for
you're right.
example.
Yeah.
There is another document here, Lori, ADF Wellness Policy, Nutrition, Food Allergies, Physical Activities, and that's shorter. I haven't read this one, but that's the policy document.
So it says on the agenda, Wellness Committee Policy Recommendations, Policy ADF-E.
Yeah, so we have to decide, I mean, E means it's like example, right?
So, okay.
I don't know. If it's in the policy manual, we have to approve it. I mean, there are other things, there are other displays and stuff in this policy manual that I think are not in our domain. Procedures for reporting bullying or retaliation, for example, that's one that would be defined by the administration, not by us. I think maybe the question is, are these guidelines, the administration should determine whether these guidelines are consistent with the policy document. Is there anything in the policy document that needs to be? I thought that this committee reviewed this policy document, these wellness policies.
Well, their recommendations
Oh, excuse me.
are, they say the Wellness Committee found some minor policy wording we feel needs updating. We would like to send these suggestions to the policy subcommittee for their review.
Right. That's,
Is this what she handed out at the school committee? Because I don't have it in any of my stuff.
I have,
I don't
I
have it
have
in my
this.
policy stuff.
this is what I printed from her report.
Okay.
Is that what you were looking
That's
at?
what this is, yeah.
Yeah.
So the three changes they're making are
Grade levels.
grade
as well.
levels in, actually all three of those. And then they want to use all fundraising activities or school store sales involving food occurring 30 minutes before, during, and up to must meet the nutrition standards. I do not see that as a problem.
We can make those changes. I'm just questioning,
Is this a policy?
yeah, and is this ours to change? I feel like it's not, because there's this other document that's a policy. So it's a little confusing, when I look down as a newcomer to this whole policy manual. There are policies, there are sort of examples, forms, that kind of thing. Those clearly we don't write. And there are things labeled -R, which is procedural. And I just don't think all of these are really ours. This is
Yeah,
an
there's this other
e-document.
document that I don't really understand how this, I guess this is part of ADF?
No, I mean, in the
Or-
manual, they're listed, they're both ADF, and this is called ADF-E, which I
Right.
assume is an exemplar of some sort, or not exemplar, example. Or, addendum, I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
how
kind
you
of
would
like
define
an
it.
addendum. Oh.
But they, typically in here, it seems like the E and the R things are district developed.
I knew I read it
Forms
someplace
and
on a communications. from
procedures.
Mike Gilbert. Because I had looked this up before for some reason, and I asked Cheryl, and Cheryl said, "Oh, I asked Mike Gilbert this years ago." Exhibits usually in the form of
Exhibit.
Exhibits, thank you.
Forms or example letters in most regulations do not require the vote of committee. If a regulation requires the vote of the committee, the policy or state law will say so. So it does not.
It does not need to go to
Unless
us.
there's someplace unless it says in that policy someplace that it does, and I didn't see
No, I would
anything
be
in there that says
surprised.
that.
So what we could do is just,
This statement is here anyway in the policy, right? Foods and beverages sold or served at the school will meet the nutrition recommendations of the U.S. Dietary. So
Yeah,
it's
I
here
think-
anyway. It's a matter of whether this document is consistent with this one.
no, I think what they were looking for is for that to be changed.
No, they were asking for the guidelines to be
To-
changed. These.
But I think they were looking for that statement to have that new language about at 30 minutes before,
Okay.
after, and during.
So,
In which
while we
case,
might
that
not
is a
change,
policy.
yeah,
change.
while we may not change this document, we might change this document.
Right.
Okay. So I would suggest, Jeff, that you take, that we modify this statement in the policy document to add
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
before
why
and
she,
after school.
that's why she highlighted that then, yeah.
And that you then, someone here, go through this document to make the changes that she's saying, she had a bunch of grade level changes.
Yeah,
Which
and-
is a guideline thing.
Right, in the guideline, you clean up the guidelines to be consistent with this statement that we're about to change here.
All right, so
All right.
here's what I would propose, that we propose the change in language to reflect the 30 minutes before, after, and during the school day.
policy.
In the policy.
and
To
that,
ADF.
and that the school will clean up the exhibit to reflect
Recommendations of
that
the
change.
committee,
Yeah,
including the grade levels. And I did have a question about the grade level changes, and this crosses many of the policies. These statements were grades PK to 6. They said they should be changed to PK to 5, for
Yeah.
example. In other places,
It says
we said
K.
K instead of PK.
We struggle with that because the location of preschool has been different in the two districts. So that something like is there pre-K in Berlin?
yes,
Was there pre-K in Boylston
Yes.
this year?
not this year.
No. So that
Will
was
be.
why. Right.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we just say PK all the time, so
Yeah.
it's all-inclusive no matter where,
Yeah.
when?
Well, so we'll change that, we'll make those changes to this
And-
artifact here.
And
Yeah,
who
so-
requested this again? The
Karen.
wellness committee?
Well,
or
Karen and the wellness, Karen presented the results, recommendations of the wellness committee.
Wellness committee, okay.
Where is that?
So,
For a second
in
before we do that.
policy,
Yeah, so here's an example in her recommendations. She says PK to 5, PK to 12, K to 5.
Yeah,
That seemed odd.
yeah. All right, I'll have her go through that, Tom.
And then we leave you with the fun challenge of making sure people adhere to this policy.
Yeah.
Sounds like we have some. Were you gonna question that?
No.
Do you want to return to that at all?
No, I'm
Okay.
good. So what I'm
So we
saying
have
is
to
we'll
change this
vote
policy.
to approve the addition of the language regarding 30 minutes before, during, and after the school day in policy ADF, and recommend that the school change language as requested by the Wellness Committee in the guidelines, which is ADF-E. Is that
That's
appropriate?
perfect. Where is the?
Now, the only thing is, I don't,
Or Jeff's, I don't know who's.
yeah, this is yours. I took this away so I
Oh.
could see it. I don't have that.
Do you,
Yeah, you can have it.
do you want this, Jeff, to remind you of this
No, I'll
issue?
have her go through. That's from her.
Yeah, but I mean, this K issue versus PK.
Yeah. No, I'll talk to her about it.
Okay.
We'll,
All right, you'll
we'll just
remember.
go about. Yeah, we'll just go
Alright.
through. And, yeah, just
Could
take
I
that
have
so
a-
you have that language.
Right.
Um,
So you don't need this?
no,
Okay.
and it's that outlined.
All fundraising activities or school store sales involving food occurring 30 minutes before. It's not the whole thing, right?
No, just the
Yeah,
all
that's what
fun.
I was, okay. So do we need a motion? Could I have a motion to approve the addition of this language to policy ADF?
Yes, I move to accept the addition.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this would be for the February school committee meeting.
Correct.
All right.
Are you getting that list of things for February? Okay, great. Okay, the social networking one, I didn't know the background to this. This was from May. The May meeting, before I came on board.
Yeah, I don't know how this.
All the minutes say is it was shelved for a future meeting.
Yeah,
I don't know what the issue was.
what the issue is.
Do we need to ask anyone if they recall?
Yeah, I can ask.
I think I recall.
Do you?
I think this came before the policy subcommittee. And I think Jim Spencer wanted to bring it back before the school committee because we had had conversations about, in particular during the process of promoting regionalization, that there were ways in which the school committee should be using social media and how we respond to or promote things, with a social media presence. This, I think, sort of, let me just see if I can find any specific place where, but I think for that general reason, he felt that the school committee should review it again and decide, is it okay?
Well, again, I'm gonna probably ask this of any long policy. Is this all policy? Some of this looks like procedure to me. Like when it starts saying staff
Yeah.
shall not delete any message posted on a social media
Yeah,
site.
I saw that too. And so I don't know.
It's all through this, actually. Staff shall do this and that. It's like, where is the policy part? We should break this out, I think. Also, technically, there are a few places where it says you, your. Other places it says district employees, and other places it says staff. I feel like we should get consistent in how it's framed.
I wonder, do you remember, Laura, if this was an MASC
I don't
It
It's
know.
just a
It
policy.
says at the end.
Yeah, and it didn't say.
Oh,
So that's why it makes me think someone just wrote this up. You know, that someone just went,
Maybe.
like a policy subcommittee, just went through, just
Maybe,
developed,
yeah.
just developed something, and they put both,
I don't know, there's legal stuff in here too that makes you wonder.
At the end, especially.
Well, and even under the purpose, any electronic communication regarding what may be subpoenaed in a court of law.
yeah. I think that's what happened here.
There are sample policies at MASC on social networks.
I think, I'm almost positive there is. Oh, did you say, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm just scanning to see, there's policy on Facebook and social networking websites.
I think at the May meeting, we had the MASC copy then, because we had another copy, and this was a complete rewrite of it.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember asking how this got to be like this, that it
Yeah.
had all of this stuff in it.
Yeah, it really is.
And somebody
kinda-
said that the subcommittee did a rewrite of this in 2016 and submitted it. But I agree with you 100%. There's some stuff in here it's a pretty long policy.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
But-
So do we want to rework this? What do we, I don't know who it came from, but.
I think we want to look for, see what the MASC sample looks like.
Yeah.
And
This isn't scheduled for tomorrow's meeting.
right.
Maybe for the next
Yeah.
policy subcommittee, we can review this with the MASC reference.
Could we also ask Christie to, or
Find that.
whoever, to get a couple of samples from other school
Yeah.
districts?
Yeah, could you just put it on notes, in the minutes, and
I'd like to get one from something like Concord Carlisle, who's very forward in their tech work for years and years. Their technology, integration and stuff. And can Christie also get the MASC
Yeah.
one too? Okay.
yeah. I'm gonna start to remember this. Oh,
All right, so sorry,
yeah.
what? What was that?
I remember why this happened. It was a result of an incident that happened in schools.
In schools, not our school.
Our schools.
In our
That they had a
schools.
rewrite of this. I think former superintendent
Oh,
and with the subcommittee, we wrote this. Because I'm looking at the date in here.
that's a thought.
Yes, 2016.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
When we schedule out the next meeting, let's make sure we ask Christie to send us those things, enough time prior to that.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
Got it.
that's what
So
that was.
it was a legal case, actually.
okay.
Okay.
Okay,
That does
that's
provide,
helpful.
that provides context.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good for you.
All right, so for the February meeting right now, what I have noted is age of entrance, I'm sorry, the February school committee meeting,
Mm-hmm.
age of entrance, wellness, and social networking.
Hopefully.
yeah. That means we'd have to.
So we'll have to time
Meet
this so that,
Before that
right.
next meeting.
Do you have the
It's
date?
coming
in front of
fast.
you?
Get it here, I can do it, Jeff. February 12th. Sound right?
Will we be able to meet before that? I know your schedule is tough.
Yeah, and I'm out the week before.
Well,
Actually,
really,
I'm out that day.
We
The
would only-
12th, I'm away.
we'd
then.
only, oh, you are?
Yeah.
I think we only really have to work on that policy though, because the age of entrance is done.
Right.
Gotta be done. What was the other one?
The
So, oh.
wellness.
No,
That
well,
was-
this one is
that's-
that's going to,
We're gonna do that tomorrow?
I thought we just did that.
Yeah,
We've done it. No, I'm talking about for the February school committee meeting.
Yeah,
We were
that's
not
already,
gonna
isn't it?
bring the wellness one tomorrow, were we?
No, not tomorrow, sorry.
no.
Okay.
February, correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was just highlighting.
And that's only got a small, so we've already worked on that. That's, so
Right.
that, we don't, so we only need, in the policy subcommittee, we only really need to work on one policy, which is this
Right.
social networking.
Well, I had a couple of other things in my notes from other times, so let me just bring these up as possible things we might consider here. At the December meeting, Bob had mentioned, he didn't propose, but he mentioned that at some point, we should create a general policy about financial need, about, free and reduced price lunch, families having accommodations of some sort or other. There should be a policy about financial need rather than it being embedded in individual policies here and there and then missing it sometimes,
Well, I don't think it's just that. I think the conversation related back to the sports
It
question.
did, that's where,
Um,
that's when he said.
but I think
it
it's
applies to
about-
other policies as well.
Right. And, yeah,
So that
I
was
think
one that
that's
was in my
gonna take
notes.
some work, but
Maybe we should just have a first conversation about what that would be about.
Yep.
So, what, can you, again, give me a summary of what that policy,
I think it would be maybe a policy to define financial need
okay.
as
Uh,
pertinent to,
So maybe then what we can do is have Christie research any MASC policies, have her do a financial need, and invite Bob to the next meeting.
that's a great idea.
And actually, we could give them to Bob to take a look at, because he obviously knew what he's thinking at least,
Yeah.
and kind of like when Bob and I wrote up the changes to the travel policy, then you can just take a look at it and say this makes sense or it doesn't, something needs to be added. And if not, at least we have some documents to work off, if they exist.
It does raise the question that's been in my mind for a while, which isn't just about defining financial need. I don't know. I know that, for example, the Worcester Public Schools, they don't offer travel or trips that haves could go on and have-nots could not. And I don't think they have the financial resources to subsidize.
All the students who would need.
So they just don't offer it. But it has made me a little bit uncomfortable, some of the travel trips that we've offered that are really costly, like China,
Yeah.
$3,000 or more dollars. And I've brought it up before and asked the question and was told, oh, there are options for people who can't afford it, but it requires that they come forward
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're
and
not going
disclose,
to, typically.
we can't afford that. So I don't know what you do about it. You don't want to completely eliminate those opportunities, but
Well-
It
well,
also
some of them are.
presumes that there are only going to be a very few cases that do step forward. And that may not always be the case, maybe a faulty assumption.
Well, I mean, if you're offering
Financially.
trips that are $3,000, I mean, I think it's safe to assume that there are a lot of families who can't afford that. One of the discussions I've had with the principals. And that particular trip didn't come from them, I know, but is, you know, should we be offering that something that's that unreasonable, that's that really exclusive, and that excludes so many people? I mean, the trip that to the Cape, it costs a few $100 or something. That's different than something that costs $3,000. I
It is
think
different.
before I go on trips like that. Never mind it,
Right.
It is different, but even, this is like, where's the line?
you know.
We have families who every dollar counts.
Yeah,
They're living paycheck to paycheck, let's say, they're homeless children, or, I mean, where do we draw the line where we say something is too expensive? I mean, even a few hundred dollars is very expensive,
Yeah.
or these MAIA fees, for example, very expensive for
But that, I do feel
fair number
differently
of
about.
families.
I feel differently about that because I do feel that we do have the resources as a district to completely subsidize the cost of that for those families.
Not for the less than 5. Less than 5 students.
Well, the less than 5 is the difference. In my mind, we don't have an obligation to subsidize that. That's an optional, outside of the box kind of thing.
Yeah, but it
But I'm
does- but it
thinking like
does-
the Cape trip, I believe that our district provides the ability for
Yeah.
every student who wants to go on that to go. But the trip to Hawaii a couple of years ago, which was during school time, which made me completely crazy,
yeah.
and which cost, I don't know, $2,500 or $3,000, felt really wrong,
Yeah.
really bad to me.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I've even asked the administrators not,
So,
go do that kind of stuff. I mean,
so the
I don't
question
think it sets
is,
a bad.
that would be, this kind of issue would be clarified in a policy, potentially,
I don't know.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if, to be totally honest, I don't know if that's in our purview. Is it?
No. I mean,
Oh, why not? Why not?
Probably.
Why isn't it?
I'd like to see what other people have.
Yeah, I would be interested, because it's interesting to me that you feel, you have that same gut check that I do, Jeff, around, our environmental groups, or the group that went to Nicaragua, that's another very expensive trip. Now, I know Nadine's argument at the time was there are other closer opportunities that kids can take advantage of. But still, we're offering this expensive option that only
Yeah.
some kids can take
Yeah.
advantage of.
No, yeah, it does kind of strike you as a sort of exclusive club kind of.
Yeah, and I think
That's
that
not
is
for
a sort
public
of a
schools that are
cultural
public.
issue. That's why I think of it, and there is a place for policy, because it is an overarching visionary kind of role of the school committee to say, this is the kind of broad culture and vision that we see here.
And
And
I-
I think that one is I think it's kind of important. But
I mean, I think in the context of the, this, this global studies, right? So there's some,
That's what it is.
I think in that context there's some, it validates some of that stuff by saying, there's opportunities to do stuff like you normally wouldn't do, but I don't know if I kind of odd feeling about it. I always have that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I talk, like I said, I talk to the administrators about it, but sometimes I hesitate because I'm thinking I don't want to put too much of my own personal feelings into this. I mean, because I wasn't able to do that stuff,
But-
so I mean, I want kids to have opportunities too. But I'm well aware that there's more than just families who don't have means, who don't. This isn't the first thing they're going to do.
Right.
And to and sometimes they feel pressure, I think, to,
Oh,
you know,
there's
everybody else is, you know,
tremendous, tremendous pressure. You know, and I don't want the result of this to be that it shuts down opportunities for kids. But I'm wondering if there are other models, you know,
Yeah.
fundraising. Maybe as a district, we do fewer trips, and there's a concerted effort to raise a portion of the funds so that you can
yeah,
subsidize at least part of it. I mean, that's what, my kids go on service trips with the church, and they're not cheap, but there's a ton of fundraising that probably
Right.
pays half of the cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
I think it's worth looking at, you know, because you don't want to shut down opportunities for kids. I mean, we don't want to do that. On the other hand, you don't want to put pressure on families to feel obligated to spend that kind of money to go on a trip
Well,
or
and
send their student on a trip.
And the issue is when the prices are that high, you are shutting down opportunities for kids.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Some kids-
equity
Yes,
is a
right.
huge issue
That's right.
there, isn't it?
So let's bring Bob in then for the next meeting for
I'm not. I
discuss
mean,
that a little
he
bit.
seems to have a
Perspective on that,
perspective
yeah.
on it. So, and the whole money piece, to tell you the truth, he sees a lot of stuff we don't. So,
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
And
That'd
I
be
wonder,
helpful.
I'm just wondering if Karen through PPS would have any perspective we'd want to tap.
yeah, well, should
Yeah,
be, well,
Karen
yeah,
would have a good,
sure.
Okay.
so we'll ask
Um,
Bob and Karen.
Show Christy, if you would, in the 2019 packet, it says January 2018.
Oh, okay.
Just so when we go searching for that, we can locate it. Okay, we're good?
So the 2019 packet.
We're good. Motion to adjourn.
Do we, before we do that, at some point there was a question about whether we needed to be reviewing policies in terms of regionalization issues. Do you remember that coming up at one time? And
I
I know
don't, but
everybody
it-
we just did a big review before I came on, and I'm wondering though.
What
it
kind of
wasn't-
policies, like in what context?
I think the issue was as we go into regional pre-K to 12, are all these policies,
Oh, yeah.
is
I
the
know what you
language consistent with that
Yeah.
pre-K to 12? And I feel like we do need to do that. It feels it just huge, but
I wonder
how
if
to-
it could be done in the context of, well, what is the
No, we'll
policy
do-
for policy review?
mean. Yeah, I know what I'll do. You know who I think will know? Mike Gilbert from the MASC. Like,
Yeah.
we're not the only ones who've gone through this.
or your
so,
Mars person.
Yeah,
All right, so
When do you
Jeff
wanna
will
do it?
ask Mark
Right.
Gilbert.
yeah.
And report
Yeah.
back. You let us know.
Mike Gilbert.
Mike Gilbert.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Is there any? Because you think about these review binders. I mean, this is
Yeah, they're
it's
just
enormous.
sprawling.
Or is there, some addendum or something you can add to your existing policy manual that
Yeah, to the manual
yeah, that
itself.
does, yeah, that kind of,
Yeah,
and maybe
that-
as these policies come up and they're renewed,
exactly.
so-
That was what I was thinking, rather than undertake some
yeah.
massive.
But there's some kind of statement you can put up front,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's a great
you know,
idea.
so.
Jeff, do we
I will
have,
check.
I haven't checked on search for this, but I'm wondering, do we have any policies regarding suspension, expulsion, that specify anything about the youngest grades around those issues? Do we have any issues with suspensions in the pre-K to 3?
No. As a matter of fact, I just collected data from,
We never have those?
I won't say never, but, I don't know why I did this. I guess I was curious about it myself.
Did this just come up in the news or something?
Yeah, where did I see this?
And it's in
somebody-
ages pre-K to,
Oh, but
Oh, I
suspensions
know,
happen
it's
in
from
the lowest
Boston,
grades.
because in
Absolutely,
Boston,
yeah.
either Boston or Worcester just did away with it.
Oh, maybe that's where it was. Yes, they were, it's like
There was an
there will be
article
no
in the paper.
suspensions and expulsions in pre-K to 2, I think it was. Yes, you'd be staggered by the numbers. It was really
So-
terrible.
Last year, in one of our schools, we had, you know, pre-K through 4, rather pre-K through 5, we had one day out of school suspension for a second grader, but it was the 5th. So if you look in terms of
The 5th.
progressive discipline, it was his 5th
Offense.
physical altercation kind of thing. And then in our other elementary school, we have had no out-of-school suspensions. I probably looked at it for the same reason, because
Yeah.
Boston had, like, it was like 600 kindergarten kids were suspended.
The
I think that was the
numbers are
number. I think it was
atrocious.
600. It
They're
was
horrifying.
600, because I remember thinking that they suspended more kindergarten kids than we had in pre-K
Presently,
and
walking
K
in the
through
door.
5,
Yeah.
roughly, because we have 1,000 students, 500 in elementary school, they suspended 600 K students
Wow.
in 1 year. So we don't, that's
So
probably why I
I
asked
guess
them.
one thing I would ask you to take a look at is, did that one suspension make the difference you wanted it to make? What were the repercussions of the suspension?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, my feeling is I shouldn't be doing that, but I understand it's a,
well, I can tell you that these, I mean, I already know in that particular incident, when the student gets that many incidents, we look for some kind of alternative
placement.
actions.
So, yeah.
That's a student who needs some other kind of intervention
Yeah,
because,
right.
you
But
know,
that's
if
why,
they're
you
hitting
know,
kids like that.
You
and-
try to get that in place without suspension.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So,
And I know, because I'm in touch with the principals, I mean, they would never, first of all, they wouldn't suspend someone like that without calling me first.
yeah. But, I mean, we
Somebody
can,
established that a long time ago because I get calls, so.
I mean, we can always consider, I'm just saying this again, I think I had written it at one point, whether we want to consider a policy about or adding into the suspension policy statement about suspension in the lowest grades.
Yeah, I mean, my sense
I
that
wouldn't-
we don't have an issue, so.
Right, I
Um,
wouldn't write a policy because it happened once.
No,
I think it's
no.
clear that,
It's to guide future action, I think,
right,
if you
but
write it.
I don't think, I think that what Jeff
That's what I'm
described is what I would hope would be their process, is that when a student is repeatedly struggling behavior-wise, that you ultimately explore options for alternatives.
Yes, but what about over time when there are administrative changes and you don't have, you may or may not have that kind of response in the superintendent's office or in the principal's office?
Well, I think you start to talk about a district that's fundamentally different than the one you have here, and I mean, that's the responsibility of school committees too, to make sure that, you know, when that stuff starts happening, that,
We step up.
well, you have that much of a change in the district, somebody has to say, well,
What's going on
yeah,
here?
what, you know, what's happened? I mean, yeah, even to the again, you know, you hire the superintendent to run the schools, but all of a sudden you see, you know, 5, 6, 10 kindergarten
Mhm.
students being suspended. That will catch somebody's eyes.
Yeah,
you know,
well, that's,
at least to say, you know, can you look into this because
yes,
that's-
okay, so we'll wait.
Yeah,
We'll wait if there's a need. I think sometimes policy is useful to front run and prevent that,
yeah.
but, I'm okay. We don't have,
I don't see it on. I mean, I
Banging on
don't
our
see it.
door.
I mean, it's not been the case before I was here. It's not the case now.
Okay.
I mean, I think,
all right,
you know, I think just in general, a tendency is to try to work with kids rather than suspend them. Just in general in education, I mean,
yeah,
in places like that, are outliers, but, you know, so, again, you see those kind of numbers, so a school committee says, all right, well, we're gonna have to put something
Right,
in place,
right.
right?
I don't remember seeing numbers at all.
It was in the article, that's why I got that number.
No, our numbers, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
for
The fact that he could remember
middle and high school,
even
at the
is-
lowest grades, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they look
well,
like.
that's why it stuck in my head, that's probably why I asked,
But I don't know what the numbers look like for middle or high school either, so I guess that's,
All right, we should look
Question.
at the calendar for our next meeting.
we submit those to the DESC, by the way, so if you
Okay.
want those, we can give you a report, that's what they gave me, they just sent the report
I'd
over.
love to see them.
Yeah,
Just be informative for me to know what we're doing. Thank you.
and if you want, you can just send me a request, and I'll
Okay.
get copies.
I don't want to, create a pile of work if they're easy to access.
Yeah, those are usually pretty, they can get a hold of them, and just redact the names.
Okay, you two have the busiest calendars, so you propose something and I'll see if I have it open.
Yeah, I just want to save this document before I do that.
Where are we out to?
Well,
We into June, yeah?
do we want to try to get one in before that February, or? I'm going to be away
I
for
mean-
that February meeting, but
I don't feel like the stuff on the table is pressing,
No, I don't either.
except if there's something, is there anything we need to look at with the SRO thing?
No, because what will happen is I'll submit draft documents.
To
I'll explain
the
this
school
tomorrow too.
committee
but-
or to-
Yeah, to the school committee.
Okay,
So once we work
You don't
on
want it
draft
to-
documents, and I'll go over this tomorrow too, I will submit them to the school committee just as documents, because you don't,
vote on
there
it.
is no,
Okay,
but there's also there's no job description, like a typical job description. So the reason I wanted to do draft documents, so at least if you're gonna vote for a position to be added to the school, officially be added, I mean, there's already police presence, but if you're gonna vote to have a position added, then you should at least see what they're
Description.
doing. Yeah, and I'll talk a
Okay.
little bit more about
All
it
right.
tomorrow, but,
yeah, so I don't feel like if your month is
that's
crazy,
fine.
then why don't we do the following?
and actually, you could still vote if we have the new MOUs in place, you can still vote to eliminate the other ones.
Yes,
We don't have to work on that. I mean,
Right.
It's just
that's,
the subcommittee.
Yep. so maybe,
the week of February 24th to March 2nd.
we're gonna have school committee budget hearings on the 25th
Yeah.
and 26th. CPAC general meeting, let's see. How about toward the end of that week? Let's see this one here. Thursday or Friday might be less.
Yep. Friday's wide open for me right at the moment.
Thursday's open.
The 28th, I'm
Whoops.
tied up from 8:30, say, till 11:30. But I could do anything after that.
Tied up from what time, Lloyd?
8:30 to 11:30 on the 28th, on Thursday. Wednesday, I'm actually wide open right now. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday's wide open.
I can do anytime Wednesday or,
What's your preference, Susan? What's better
Either
for
of
you?
those, any of those are fine.
But how about time of day? Do
I
you like the early
Nope,
morning?
I can do whatever works for you.
I mean, I kind of like, what time do you come in, Jeff?
I can come in anytime. I mean, it's just,
I
if
mean,
you want
do
me
you-
here early in the morning, I can.
Well, I'm just thinking, I like the 8, because then it's only, an hour out of my workday, kind of, if I
Yeah.
do 8 to
Want
9:30.
to do Wednesday?
Wednesday the
Wednesday,
27th.
27th.
Do you mind 8 a.m.? Would you prefer later?
No, that's fine.
Get to get out of the way.
So we
In the
said,
morning, right? Get it done.
we probably don't, will we need
Yeah, get
an
out of
hour and
the
a
way.
half, or do you think an hour might do?
Well,
for this
I'm looking
meeting?
at, we started at 4:30, it's now
Okay.
almost 6:30.
We'll save an hour and a half. If we use less, then
Right, and we
that's
just,
okay.
8 to 9:30, February 27th at 8.
Correct. Good.
It's one of those things that looks good now, right?
yeah, because everything's so wide open till,
It's like the worst thing you can do is tell somebody your day is wide open.
it won't stay that way very long.
Right.
One thing I'm
Don't say it aloud.
excited about, though, that will be done is because we merged with another agency, we have 100 programs spread throughout Central and Eastern and
Did we
West.
close the meeting?
Yes, let's close. We adjourn. Thank you.